Hey everybody, happy Monday.
Happy Monday everyone. In today's video we are continuing our fish choices based on color. Today, there's not a lot of color with these ones. We're talking about silver fish. But a couple of disclaimers here. There are a lot of choices. And so what we're trying to do here is supply you with choices of fish that are going to be silver, but they're going to really stand out. So we're probably not going to mention the whole mess load of female peacock cichlids that turn silver, because generally speaking most people probably aren't seeking those out. So we're going to look at fish that are silver but really are going to add something cool to the tank. What do we got?
Well, if we're going to do this by category, which I think is very helpful, I think that we should start off with small schooling fish. And the first one in that category I think should be the diamond Tetra. Not only does it have a cool name, but it's also very kind of sparkly in silver.
And there are other types of tetras too. Again, if you're looking for those smaller to medium-sized schooling fish, just a couple of them that come to mind. You got the Buenos Aires tetra, a little bit more aggressive. Want to keep them in big groups. We've talked about them numerous times before. And also the Colombian tetra, which has a little bit of blue in it as well. But both of those tetras can be pretty striking and add a lot of silver shimmering color to your tank.
Now another fish that stays relatively small but is also very cool, a very cool fish would be the dwarf rainbow fish. A lot of people really love the rainbow fish, and the dwarf will stay a little bit smaller, have a lot of activity throughout the tank, and is silver.
And the other cool thing too about the dwarf rainbow is it doesn't quite look like the other larger rainbows. So those little tiny heads with those big giant bodies kind of make you uneasy. The dwarf rainbow doesn't have quite as much of a difference. The other one to consider, and this is one that I really like, and we need to get them in the fish room, are of course the silver hatchet fish. These are, we include them in the small schooling because they're smaller fish, community type fish. Where they're going to hang out is the top of the tank, but they're definitely going to give you a really interesting silver type of look right at the top of the tank.
Now the next category I think we should look at is the general community fish, and two of my top picks both happen to be gouramis. First of which is the tiniest gourami that you can find, the sparkling gourami. I've had them in numerous tanks and they're just a whole lot of fun. You can keep up to just one single fish in a 5-gallon to a little school of them that I've had in bookshelf tanks. They're a lot of fun to watch and a really good choice if you like silver. The other would be a little bit on the larger side of the spectrum for gouramis, but that would be the moonlight gourami.
I don't know if there are many silver fish more silvery than the moonlight gourami. They are really cool. And as far as the gourami goes, at least in terms of gouramis that are a little bit on the larger side, they tend not to be as aggressive as like the blues, the opalines, and the golds. Now, if you're still looking for that centerpiece type community fish, don't forget we also have the angelfish. Now, there are lots and lots of varieties of angelfish, but definitely the silvers are something that stands out. And of course, you do have the mollies. There are some very striking silver mollies out there. Again, need a little bit of a larger tank. They're pretty energetic, but these are really cool.
For our next category, I think we should do the cleanup crew. Who do you have at the bottom of your tank that might be beautiful and silver? Well, there are a number of different cory cats that you can pick from that are silver, starting with the very tiny pygmy cory cat. Any kind of cory that you pick will be a lot of fun. They'll have a lot of personality. They'll form little piles. You keep them in groups. They're very entertaining to watch and a lot of activity throughout your tank. Now, in addition to the pygmy cory, which is very tiny, you also have the hebrosis, which is also very small. If you want to get a little bit larger but still stay with that beautiful silver color, you can choose the Paleatus or the Julie cories.
And if you want to go really crazy with your scavenger type fish, you've always got the Pictus cat. You're going to need some space for this fish. It is a crazy active fish. You're going to need a slightly larger or much larger tank than what we've talked about with the pygmies and hebrosis for sure, but they have a very striking silver color to them.
Next category would be large schooling fish. So you could choose something like the bala shark, tinfoil barbs, or silver dollars.
These are great fish and they are going to give you a very striking silver color in your tank, but in all cases you're going to need a larger tank For the silver dollars, I would highly recommend at least a 4-foot tank. For the ballast sharks and tinfoil barbs, I personally wouldn't keep them again unless I had an 8-foot tank because they need to be in groups and they can be up to a foot long. But if you've got that very large tank and you're looking for some shimmering colors, the ballast sharks and the tinfoil barbs, especially if you've got at least a 4-foot tank and want to keep a group of silver dollars, it's going to look pretty cool from across the room.
Now, if you want to consider cichlids, we do have a few choices for some beautiful silver color in your tank. You could choose the Brichardi, you could choose Brevis, or even Cuttlepunks.
Now, these are all Lake Tanganyika fish, and I know if you've kept Lake Tanganyika fish before, you're like, well, you're really short on that list. I know, this is not an exhaustive list of all silver fish that exist, otherwise this would be like a 6-hour video, and it could be an hour video just with the Lake Tanganyika fish. But the Brevis give you that really nice silvery color in a very small package, being a shell dweller. If you wanted to go that route, the Brichardi are absolutely beautiful fish. And the Cuttlepunks, they're kind of a silvery white, but they still have a lot of silver to them. Now, we do have a slight disagreement here when it comes to even our Lake Tanganyika fish. I think that you could potentially consider the Maltese and the Simless in this group. What do you say?
No.
No?
No, I think they're more white.
I think that they are silvery. I guess you could make an argument that they're also tan. We need to hear from you in the comments section below. Do you think Neolampologus multifasciatus, the Maltese and the Simless, should be added to the silverfish collection?
Yeah.
And if you do, well, boom, there you go. There's 2 more options for you. If you don't, scratch them from the record. Now, we do have a larger cichlid that I don't think many people necessarily, it's not on their radar, but it's an amazing fish. We have them in our fish room. The first time I saw this fish, it blew me away because it was one of the most beautiful fish I have seen. And that is the Vieja Argentea, otherwise known as Mascajeros Argentea. It is an absolutely wonderfully striking fish. Now, this is a cichlid that gets larger. It's got a lot of personality. It is rather assertive / aggressive. You're going to need a larger tank. It's something you could potentially keep maybe 1 in a 75 gallon. If you wanted to have more than one, you're going to need a very large tank. But these are absolutely mind-blowing fish if you can find them and if you've got the space for them.
Now, finally, I think that we should have a category all to itself. It's called the Oddball Fish. What fish is that, you ask? The arowana.
Arowana is cool, and it's not for everybody. Again, this is a fish, this is the silver arowana especially, which is what we're referencing here. The silver arowana is going to need a very large tank. At least 8, maybe 10 feet would be ideal. This is going to be a fish that will be with you for a long time, and they are experts at jumping out of a tank. But it's something to consider if you're looking at that monster tank and want something that is going to shimmer from across the room. You really can't go wrong with the arowana. So those were some. This is certainly not even close to being an exhaustive list of silver fish. Like we said, there are so many. Want to hear from you down in the comments section below. What are some of your favorite silver fish that you've kept? If you want more information on some of the fish species profiles, check out the description below. Appreciate you being here, and we'll see you in the next one.
Bye.